Good afternoon. This is Jason Wydrow of OnlineStrategyPodcast.com. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about something that hasn't been talked about a lot, but it is critical and important for business owners to understand how the game might be changing for your business in terms of search results in Google. And if you have not listened to my previous podcasts, I highly recommend that because some of the technical things that I talk about and go over are covered in more simple terms so that what I'm saying right now might make more sense. Just a suggestion. But, however, I'm going to just clarify this one point. So, what Google is doing and has been doing and experimenting with, as usual, is different types of labels. What are labels? Okay, first thing we need to understand is what is a search result. So when somebody goes on to Google, they type in, I would like to buy a car, or whatever it might be, green apples, or local green apples, or something of the sort. So when somebody searches, those results that show up on the page are considered search results. So I'm not going to get into too much detail on that, but I just wanted you to get a little visualization here of what I'm talking about. So labels are now being applied, and this is not an absolutely new thing. This is something that has been happening for some time, and it's just become more prominent and more active with different types of labels. There are two in particular that are of immediate importance, in my opinion. The mobile label and the slow label. In this podcast, I'm really going to talk a little bit more about the slow label. And in the next podcast, I'm going to talk a bit more about the mobile related labels. So, the slow label. What we know. In about 2010, Google began to include some characteristics in its search engine that start to register page speed. So page speed became a pretty critical and important factor for web developers like myself, and it also piqued the interest, obviously, of business owners wondering and asking themselves the question, is my site fast enough? Does it qualify in a right area of speed to increase or help a better search result for my product or service in my community, my nation, wherever I am? So the point is that this tag is now being tested and used, and it is slow, SLOW, and it is very noticeable, and it is relevant, and it shows. So, interestingly enough, just because, okay, so the point is there's a slow tag. Now, if you start seeing this slow tag or you see it on your website, no, it doesn't mean this is the end of the world for you. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is the progression of a search engine. And again, going back to my earlier podcast, I talk a lot about this. I go into some detail. The important thing to understand is that when Google begins, and again, this is just based on traditional patterns and patterns that have occurred over the years. When Google begins to add, or you begin to see changes or different or variations or interesting things happening that weren't there the day before, or things are looking different, obviously Google's always trying to improve, modify, and increase the value of the search results served back to anyone searching. Obviously, being a search engine, they want to provide the best quality, the best product, the best information to anyone searching, because that's the point. So when it comes to slow and how important it is right now, obviously it's an important factor. It has been since 2010, and there's definitely credible information, scientifically tested, that slower websites and faster websites have variations of performance in the search engine results. Now, don't forget about the fact that there are tons of other factors that are involved when the search engine is determining what to show on the page when you type in a search phrase. So the page speed is one factor, but we also have to consider that at the rate mobile devices, portable devices, iPhones, iPads, smartphones, devices, and such, all of these collectively are becoming, progressively every year more popular. And yes, they've been popular for years, but they're becoming broader used for more purposes, different reasons. So they're becoming more normal. For example, I've done coding, literal coding, for a client website on my iPhone. And that's an example. I mean, that's how mobile we're getting. Yeah, I push things a little because I'm in this industry. This is what I do, So it's a little different for the average person that might be out there with their phone. They might not be taking it that far. They might not need to. So the point is that we have to look at the future. We have to think about where things are going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now. And we have to consider what we need to do now to take the proper steps, careful steps that get us to where we want to be in 3, 5, 7, 10 years from now online. Particularly taking into consideration the portable device market. And I use the word portable device because it's a very general term, because there are so many devices now on the market. Obviously we're familiar with most of the normal ones that we see every day, the Android phones, the iPhones, Apple products and such, the Android tablets, Apple tablets and things like that. So we see all these devices, and these are the main ones we see most of the time. But there's a lot of other devices out there and a lot of other stuff happening in this market. So point being, again, that we need to focus on the now, but into the future, and how we're going to accommodate all these needs into the future. And the slow tag, the slow label, is an indicator that there is extra added emphasis now being put on page speed. How fast your website's opening, how fast your pages are loading. And again, even within that, there are a tremendous amount of variable factors that can contribute to your page loading fast or slow. And that's a whole other scientific area, not to be discussed in this podcast. I'm coming up on about 8-9 minutes now. But I hope this was helpful to the point that you understand the importance of page speed and what Google is currently experimenting with in terms of slow page speed, and recognizing that more and serving that information up in the results to your potential end user. And again, this is important because let's just imagine someone on their mobile device searching. Let's say you are a veterinarian or a dentist. Let's say somebody is searching at the bus stop or on the subway or at lunch or even at their desk with their phone or their tablet or such. And they're browsing through the results and they see a slow tag, for example, and they know 100% certainly that everything seems to load a bit faster on their main computer and they're on their phone. So you know what? I'm going to just avoid these slow ones and I'm going to go with a fast one, because who wants to wait anymore? And again, this is a whole topic in itself, but when talking about speed of information and how fast we want things, we pretty much know if we use devices and are connected to the internet on a pretty regular basis in any way, shape, or form, that it is always nice to be served the information we want fast and simple, and we generally don't like waiting. So anyway, that's it for today. Quick topic, quick mention. Hopefully you find it interesting information, and as always, please feel free to reach out to me. Would love to talk to you about your project, your website, whatever you're working on, and help you out with that. Have a great day, and let's internet on. This podcast is brought to you by OnlineStrategySolutions.com, OnlineStrategyPodcast.com, and W3Development.com.